The sky was still bruised with the last shade of night when Travis Whitmore pulled into the quiet Connecticut cul-de-sac, the Mercedes he'd borrowed from a friend humming softly beneath him. His shirt was wrinkled, his breath sour with the scent of whiskey and someone else's perfume. Dawn washed the street in a cold silver light, the kind that exposed everything you tried to hide. He checked his reflection in the rearview mirror, rehearsing the lie he planned to feed his pregnant wife the moment he stepped inside. But the lie died in his throat. Because parked directly in front of his house was a Rolls-Royce Phantom, its engine still running, low and steady like a heartbeat. The sight didn't fit the quiet neighborhood. It didn't fit his life. And it definitely didn't fit the story he'd been spinning about being the successful, responsible husband. The back door opened, and what stepped out froze Travis in place. First, the long, tailored coat of Cole Harrington, the Manhattan real estate CEO Travis had only seen in Forbes features. Then the small, trembling hand of Madeline "Maddie" Brooks, his 7 months pregnant wife. Cole wasn't touching her inappropriately. No, he was steadying her, protecting her. Maddie held her belly with one hand, the other gripping the CEO's arm for balance. Her face was pale, tired. Nothing like the warm, gentle woman Travis had abandoned 12 hours earlier without a second thought. The neighbor's curtains twitched. A dog barked down the street. The universe seemed to hold its breath. Travis stormed forward. "Madeline, what the hell is going on?" His voice cracked, sharper than he intended. Maddie flinched. Cole didn't. His tone was calm, razor-controlled. "She nearly collapsed in Manhattan. I made sure she got home safely." Home. The word sliced through the air. Travis's pulse hammered in his ears. He wanted to shout, to accuse, to twist reality before it slipped out of his control. But then Maddie looked up, her eyes glassy, not with guilt, but with something far more dangerous: resolve. And before Travis could say another word, Maddie whispered something that made his world tilt completely off its axis. "I'm not coming inside with you, and the reason why will destroy everything Travis thinks he controls." Maddie Brooks had once believed her life would bloom gently, the way her mother's garden did every spring back in Missouri, quietly, patiently, beautifully. She never imagined she would be standing on her own driveway 7 months pregnant, exhausted and leaning on the arm of a billionaire CEO because her own husband couldn't be bothered to answer a single phone call. But that morning, as the cold air stung her cheeks, Maddie felt something crack inside her. Something she had spent years trying to protect. People often mistook Maddie for fragile. Maybe it was because she was soft-spoken, or because she listened more than she talked, or because she carried a gentleness that felt out of place in a world obsessed with speed and sharp edges. But she hadn't always been this worn-down version of herself. Before Travis, she had been a rising landscape architect, designing rooftop gardens that softened the Manhattan skyline. She had worked late nights with passion, not fear, scribbling sketches with dirt-smudged fingertips and a heart full of dreams. Then she fell in love. Travis Whitmore had seemed different at first, steady, charming, someone who promised her a future built on partnership. He used to bring her hot chocolate during her long design shifts. He used to brag about her talent, telling friends she would change the way New York breathes. But somewhere between marriage, mortgages, and miscarriages, he changed. Or perhaps he simply revealed who he had always been. After their first pregnancy ended in heartbreak, Travis withdrew. Maddie tried to hold their world together, thinking grief made him distant, thinking time would heal him. But time didn't heal Travis. It hardened him. He became controlling with money, critical of her work, suspicious of her friendships. Every time she tried to speak, he reminded her that she was too emotional, too sensitive, too much trouble. And then she got pregnant again. This child was her hope, her miracle, her second chance. She tried to be careful, tried to be calm, tried to keep the peace. Even when Travis stopped coming home early, even when she smelled unfamiliar perfume on his shirts, even when he dismissed every concern with a cold, rehearsed smile, she tried. God, she tried. But last night, while she struggled with severe dizziness on a Manhattan sidewalk, Travis was out drinking with his mistress. She had called him twice, then 3 times. The 4th call went straight to voicemail. Panic had blurred her vision. The contractions weren't real ones, just stress, the doctor later said. But the fear had been enough to buckle her knees. And that was when Cole Harrington appeared. The CEO was leaving his Park Avenue office when he saw her slump against a column. Maddie had tried to wave him off with embarrassment, but Cole wasn't a man who ignored someone in distress, especially not a pregnant woman trembling with fear. He got her water. He helped her sit. He called his driver. He waited with her until the dizziness passed, his voice low and steady, grounding her breath by breath. No judgment, no questions, no entitlement, only kindness, something she hadn't felt from her husband in a very long time. Now, standing before Travis, Maddie felt the weight of everything she had endured pressing against her ribs. But beneath that weight, something else flickered. Strength. And when Travis took a step toward her, fury twisting his mouth, Maddie finally raised her chin and spoke the words she had swallowed for far too long. "Travis, I know what you did last night." And the proof she's about to reveal will shatter his entire facade. The Whitmore house sat at the end of a quiet tree-lined cul-de-sac, its white columns and manicured hedges pretending to belong to a perfect American dream. To the neighbors, it was the kind of home that suggested stability, morning coffees on the porch, Christmas wreaths on the door, and a husband who brought his pregnant wife roses just because. But inside those walls, the truth had rotted long before the dawn Travis stumbled home. Maddie had once loved this house. She'd chosen the soft gray paint for the living room, spent weeks designing the backyard garden, and planted lavender along the walkway because she wanted the scent to greet her children one day. She had imagined birthdays, backyard sprinklers, tiny muddy footprints on the deck. This home was supposed to be the start of everything good. But today, as she stood before it with Cole beside her, it felt like a stage built for lies. Cole took in the surroundings quietly. The crisp Connecticut air carried the faint scent of pine and distant wood smoke, the kind of morning where people jogged with golden retrievers and waved at passing cars. Everything looked like a postcard, except for the woman trembling beside him. Inside the house, the setting was even worse. Maddie had stopped noticing it, but Cole did immediately. The coldness, the silence, the way nothing in this home felt lived in. Travis had curated the house the way he curated his reputation. Polished, controlled, expensive but empty. The marble counters, the spotless floors, the stage throw pillows, all surface, no soul. Cole had seen 1,000 homes like this through his real estate empire. Homes that looked perfect but felt wrong, lonely. Homes where the owners lived more for strangers' approval than their own peace. But the detail that struck him hardest was the nursery. He saw it when Maddie, still lightheaded, opened the door to rest for a moment. Soft yellow walls, untouched baby clothes still with tags, a crib assembled but never used. It should have been a sanctuary. Instead, it looked like a promise someone never intended to keep. "What happened to the rocking chair you wanted?" Cole asked gently. Maddie hesitated. "Travis said it was unnecessary. He told me not to buy anything until he approved it." Cole's jaw tightened. Maddie continued, almost apologetically, as if she needed to justify her husband's neglect. "He said it was better to wait, that I always overspend, that I don't understand money the way he does." Cole didn't respond. He didn't have to. The truth hung in the room like smoke. Downstairs, the setting shifted, from quiet sadness to brewing danger. Travis paced the kitchen, slamming cabinet doors, muttering curses under his breath. The coffee machine blinked the same message it had blinked for months. Add water. Somehow it felt symbolic. A house that needed refilling. A marriage running dry. He glanced out the window toward the driveway where the Rolls-Royce still idled. The sight filled him with a burn he couldn't name. Rage, fear, the unraveling of control. When Maddie descended the stairs again, Travis straightened, face tightening into a mask of false concern. "You're home now," he said. "We'll talk privately." But Maddie didn't move toward him. Instead, she stepped closer to Cole. And Travis noticed it, the shift. The tiniest movement that told him his power over her was slipping. And then Cole opened his mouth to reveal something Travis never expected. Something that would turn the entire house into a battlefield. Travis Whitmore had always been talented at pretending. Pretending to be the loving husband. Pretending to be the rising star attorney. Pretending to be the kind of man who deserved a beautiful house, a pregnant wife, and the admiration of an entire neighborhood. On the surface, He carried himself with the polished confidence of someone who believed his life was perfectly under control. But the truth, rotting beneath the charm, was that Travis was drowning. His financial troubles didn't happen overnight. They began long before Maddie ever suspected anything was wrong. A series of reckless investments, stock trades made on impulse, gambling disguised as portfolio building. Each time he lost money, he doubled down, chasing the high of a win that never came. He hid the credit card statements, the loan notices, the late fees. He convinced himself he could fix everything before Maddie found out. Then she got pregnant. Instead of grounding him, the baby terrified him. The responsibility, the cost, the possibility of being exposed as the failure he secretly feared he was. And so he spiraled further, working late, drinking more, searching for distractions that made him feel powerful again. That was when Harper, the 23-year-old intern, entered his life. She was everything Travis thought he needed. Admiration without effort, attention without expectation, validation without accountability. She listened to his stories with wide eyes. She laughed at jokes Maddie no longer found funny. She believed he was brilliant. And Travis, desperate to escape his own unraveling, clung to her. What Maddie didn't know was how deep the betrayal went. Travis hadn't just been unfaithful. He had been using Harper's wealthy family connections to dig himself out of debt. He promised her a future. He hinted he might leave Maddie once the timing was right, all while convincing himself he was still a decent man. This morning, however, when Travis saw Maddie standing beside Cole Harrington, everything inside him twisted into something dark and volatile. He wasn't afraid of losing her. He was afraid of losing control. "How long has this been going on?" Travis snarled, stepping toward them. Cole didn't flinch. "Careful." Maddie instinctively placed a hand on her belly, and the gesture ignited Travis's temper further. "Oh, please," he scoffed. "Don't act like you're the victim here." Cole stepped forward then, not aggressively, but with a firmness that warned Travis the conversation was no longer his to command. "She collapsed in Manhattan last night," Cole said. "You didn't answer her calls." "That's none of your business," Travis barked. But a flicker of panic betrayed him. Cole's expression remained calm, almost surgical. "I'm making it my business because your wife needed help, and you were nowhere. But there's something else you should know, Travis, something you've been hiding from her for far too long." Maddie turned sharply toward Cole, confusion tightening her brow. "What is he talking about?" Cole glanced at her, eyes softening. "The house, Maddie." Travis went still, completely still. Cole continued, voice low but steady. "You didn't know, did you?" Maddie's heartbeat thudded painfully in her ears. "No what?" she whispered. Then Cole revealed the truth Travis had been terrified of. "Your husband signed papers to sell this house without telling you." Travis lunged forward, rage exploding, and what Maddie does next will stun both men into silence. The moment Cole revealed Travis's secret, the air in the living room shifted. It felt heavier, tighter, as if the walls themselves were bracing for the explosion that was about to happen. Maddie stared at her husband, her fingers trembling against her swollen belly. She needed Travis to deny it, to tell her Cole misunderstood, to give her even the smallest reason to believe she hadn't been living in a house built on lies. But Travis said nothing. His jaw flexed. His eyes darted from Maddie to Cole, calculating, cornered. And that silence, more than any shouted confession, told Maddie the truth. "You were going to sell our home?" Maddie's voice was barely above a whisper, but the betrayal inside it filled the room. Travis threw up his hands. "Oh, don't be dramatic. It wasn't finalized." "That's not what he asked," Cole replied, his tone calm, controlled. "You signed the listing agreement last month." Maddie staggered back, gripping the back of a chair to steady herself. Last month. That was around the time Travis accused her of being too clingy, because she wanted to attend his office charity gala together. The same night he canceled on her and claimed he had the flu, except he didn't have the flu. He had Harper. Emotion rushed through Maddie, fear, hurt, disbelief, but beneath it all something new burned. Anger. A quiet, simmering anger that felt almost unfamiliar after years of swallowing her pain. "Why?" she finally asked. "Why would you do that to me? To us? To our baby?" Travis scoffed. "Don't make this about the baby. You've been using that as an excuse for everything." Cole inhaled sharply, but Maddie lifted her hand, signaling him not to intervene. This was her moment. An excuse? Maddie repeated, her voice trembling. I was in the ER 2 months ago and you never showed up. You said you fell asleep. Travis shrugged. I told you, I was tired. Cole's eyes darkened, but Maddie pressed on. And last night, I was dizzy and alone on a Manhattan sidewalk, calling you over and over. You're exaggerating, Travis snapped before she could finish. You always exaggerate. You're emotional. Cole probably misunderstood too. He doesn't know how you get. There it was. The weapon Travis used every time, painting her as unstable, dramatic, overly sensitive. A tactic so familiar that Maddie felt her lungs tighten with the weight of years spent questioning her own reality. I'm 7 months pregnant, she said softly, and you left me alone. Again. Travis rolled his eyes. You survived, didn't you? Stop acting like a victim. You have no idea how much pressure I'm under. Maddie blinked. Pressure? He was talking about pressure? Before she could respond, the front door suddenly opened without a knock. Harper stepped inside. Her heels clicked sharply against the hardwood floor, her mascara smudged, her expression pale with something that looked like regret or fear. She clutched a folder in her hands, her fingers shaking around it. Travis, she whispered. We need to talk, now. Travis's face drained of color. Cole's brows lifted, and Maddie, gripping the edge of the counter for balance, felt her pulse hammer in her throat. Harper took a breath, eyes flicking to Maddie. I'm sorry, she said quietly, but you deserve to know everything. She opened the folder. Inside was the one document that would destroy whatever lies Travis had left to hide behind. Harper's hands trembled as she placed the folder on the kitchen island. Papers slipped out, scattering like fallen leaves. Bank statements, private emails, a photocopy of the signed house sale authorization, and a receipt from an upscale Manhattan hotel for a romantic package dated the night Maddie was in the ER. For a moment, the room was silent. Not the peaceful kind. This was the heavy, suffocating quiet that comes before a storm tears everything apart. Travis lunged forward. Harper, what the hell are you doing? But she stepped back, shaking her head. I can't lie for you anymore. I thought you were going to leave her. You told me she was controlling, that she was unstable. Maddie felt the words stab deep. Unstable. The same label Travis had used for years when she cried, worried, or questioned him. A word that made her doubt her own sanity. Harper looked directly at Maddie now, eyes softening. I didn't know she was pregnant. You never said a word about a baby. Travis scoffed. Desperate. It's none of your business. She always. Stop, Harper cut in, surprising everyone, even herself. Just stop. Last night you told me you wished she'd just get it over with so you could start a real life with me. Maddie's breath hitched. Cole's jaw clenched. Travis paled. That's not what I meant, he snapped. She twists everything. Harper swallowed hard. And you told me you needed her name on everything until your debts cleared, that she was worth more to you on paper than in your life. The words didn't just land, they detonated. Maddie felt her knees weaken. She reached for the counter, trying to keep herself upright as her world tilted. She'd known Travis was selfish. She'd known he was drifting. But she never imagined he saw her, his wife, the mother of his unborn child, as nothing more than a financial asset. Tears pricked her eyes, hot and humiliating. Maddie, Travis said, voice suddenly soft, fake soft, the tone he used when he wanted something. She's lying because she's upset. You know how young girls get. Cole stepped forward, voice sharp as broken glass. Don't you dare blame her. You did this. Every part of this. Travis turned on him. Stay out of my marriage. It stopped being just your marriage, Cole replied, when you left her collapsing on a sidewalk while you were with someone else. Travis's rage flared. You think you're some kind of hero? You don't know what she's like. She's needy. She cries over everything. She's always in pain or sick or stressed. That's pregnancy, Cole shot back. Not weakness. But Travis wasn't listening. His voice rose, angrier, uglier, echoing through the spotless kitchen Maddie once dreamed would hold family dinners. You don't get it. I'm the one carrying everything. I'm the one who decides what happens in this house. She should be grateful I've stayed this long. Something inside Maddie snapped then, quietly, cleanly, like a thread that had held too much weight for too long. She lifted her head, tears drying into resolve. No, she whispered. You don't get to speak for me anymore. Travis looked at her, startled by the strength in her voice. And before he could respond, Maddie reached into Harper's folder, pulled out one specific document, and it was the one Travis never imagined she would find. The one that could ruin him, publicly, professionally, and legally. Maddie's fingers tightened around the document she had pulled from Harper's folder. Her hands shook, not from fear this time, but from the shock of seeing something she never expected to bear her husband's signature. A power of attorney transfer, and not just any POA. A document granting Travis full control over her medical decisions in the event of an emergency, signed and dated during her first pregnancy, the one that ended in heartbreak. Maddie had no memory of signing it. She had been on bed rest then, barely able to stand, let alone read legal paperwork. Her eyes scanned the lines again, stomach twisting. Travis hadn't just planned to sell their home. He had legally positioned himself to decide whether she received care, treatment, or nothing at all. "Where did you get this?" Maddie whispered. Harper swallowed, nervous. "He kept copies of everything in his desk. I saw him pull this out last week when he thought you might go into early labor," he said. She hesitated, glancing at Travis. "He said it would be easier for everyone if things didn't work out." Maddie's knees nearly buckled. Cole caught her elbow immediately, steadying her with a quiet, grounding presence. Travis stepped forward, palms raised. "That is not what I said." "She's twisting my words." "You forged my signature," Maddie said, voice breaking but unmistakably clear. Travis froze. "What? No, you signed that yourself. You were just emotional. You don't remember." "Don't," she whispered. "Not this time." Cole's expression hardened into something colder than concrete. "You played God with your wife's medical rights. Do you understand what that means legally?" Travis's mask cracked. His next words came out desperate, sloppy. "I didn't do anything wrong. I just needed control." She was hysterical back then, and I was the only one thinking clearly. Someone had to make decisions. Maddie stared at him, tears filling her eyes, but not falling. "Not anymore." "You mean someone had to make decisions for you," she said softly. "Someone had to protect you from the inconvenience of a sick wife, a pregnant wife, a grieving wife." "That's not fair," Travis began. Cole cut in sharply. "Fair? You endangered her life, and her baby's." Travis pointed an accusing finger at Cole. "Oh, please. You think you're the hero here? You're obsessed with her. Picking her up in your limo, acting like some savior." "I picked her up because you didn't," Cole said evenly. "Because while she was collapsing, you were in a hotel with someone half your age." Harper looked down, shame flooding her face, but she didn't deny it. Travis sputtered, words failing him. Maddie felt everything closing in. The betrayal, the realization, the years she'd begged for scraps of affection. The weight of it all pressed onto her chest until she could barely breathe. "I trusted you," she whispered. "I trusted you with my life, with our child's life. And you still should." Travis insisted, reaching toward her. Cole stepped between them instantly. Travis's voice twisted into something darker. "You're my wife, Maddie. You're not going anywhere." For the first time, Maddie didn't shrink back. "No," she said. "I'm not your anything anymore." Her voice didn't tremble. Her hands didn't shake. And for the first time in years, Travis looked genuinely afraid. Before anyone could respond, Maddie picked up her phone, dialed a number, and when the person on the other end answered, the entire room fell silent, because this call would change everything for everyone involved. Maddie's fingers tightened around her phone as the call connected. Her voice, soft but steady, filled the kitchen. "Hi, Dr. Whitaker? Yes, I'm safe, but I need to discuss something important, in private." Cole watched her with a mix of worry and admiration. Travis, on the other hand, stiffened, realizing the call wasn't to the police or a friend. It was to her OB-GYN, the very doctor who would have copies of her records, signatures, and anything that might expose his forged medical documents. "Maddie, hang up," Travis snapped, but she didn't. "I'll come in today," she continued calmly. "And I need copies of every document, including anything with my signature." Travis lunged forward, but Cole blocked him. "Don't touch her." When Maddie ended the call, the air shifted again. Not from fear this time, but from awakening. She wasn't crying anymore. Her breathing had steadied. Her shoulders, once slumped beneath years of gaslighting, now sat squarely, the posture of someone realizing she mattered. For the first time in a long time, she wasn't shrinking to make someone else comfortable. Travis sensed the change too. "What is this?" he demanded. Some kind of act? You think calling your doctor is going to fix anything? You're not leaving this house. Maddie looked at him, her eyes quiet but unyielding. I already left the moment you chose everyone but me. Harper shifted uncomfortably, guilt clouding her expression. Maddie, I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't know the things he was hiding. Maddie didn't respond, but she didn't need to. The silence said everything. Cole stepped closer, not too close, not possessive but protective in the delicate way a good man recognizes a wounded woman's space. You don't have to stay here, he said. There are other options, safe ones. Travis barked a bitter laugh. With you? Oh, that's rich. You think I don't see what you're trying to do? You think I'm stupid? No, Cole replied, voice cool as steel. I think you're dangerous. The word struck Travis like a slap. Dangerous? I'm her husband. And yet, Cole said calmly, I'm the one who showed up. That was the truth Travis couldn't outrun. Not with lies, not with shouting, not with manipulation. You can't steal my wife, Travis spat. Cole didn't break eye contact. I'm not here to steal anyone. I'm here because she needed help, something you didn't bother to give. Travis's face contorted, but before he could open his mouth again, Maddie spoke, her voice clear, steady, and stronger than either man expected. I'm done fighting for someone who never fought for me. Harper covered her mouth as if the words hit her too. Travis stared at Maddie with a mix of anger and disbelief. You're making the biggest mistake of your life, he warned. You need me. You can't survive without me. But Maddie finally saw it, the empty threat behind the words, the fragility behind the rage, the weakness behind the cruelty. No, she whispered. I just needed to believe in myself again. Cole nodded once, as if affirming a vow she didn't know she'd made. Before Travis could respond, the front door opened, this time with a loud, firm knock. A shadow filled the doorway. The uniformed figure stepped inside. And Maddie realized, someone she never expected to see was now standing in her home, holding documents that could end Travis's freedom for good. Officer Daniels stepped across the threshold, his expression solemn and unreadable. He wasn't just any officer. He was the same one who had responded months earlier when Maddie suffered complications during her first pregnancy. He remembered her. He remembered the fear in her eyes. And now, he remembered the husband who never showed up at the hospital. Mrs. Whitmore, he greeted gently, nodding at her swollen belly. We need to speak with you. Travis stiffened. She doesn't need to speak to anyone without me present. Officer Daniels didn't even look at him. This isn't about you, Mr. Whitmore. This is regarding a complaint filed by your lender and a notarized allegation of signature fraud. The room froze. Travis's face drained of color. Maddie's heart thudded. Cole stepped slightly closer to her, instinctively protective. Harper inhaled sharply. They know? Officer Daniels opened the folder he carried. Inside were documents stamped with the lender's seal, and a photocopy of the forged signature Travis had hoped no one would ever question. Your handwriting appears on multiple legal and financial documents. But Mrs. Whitmore's medical file indicates she was heavily sedated during the date those signatures were made. The truth hit like a hammer. Travis's voice cracked. That's a misunderstanding. She signed them. She just doesn't remember. Maddie stepped forward, her voice soft but powerful. Stop lying, Officer Daniels continued. We're not making any arrests today. But the district attorney has grounds to open a formal investigation. Travis exploded. You can't do this. You can't investigate me over some stupid paperwork. Forging a spouse's legal signature on medical and property documents is a felony, Daniels replied coolly. And your lender wants answers. Travis turned on Maddie, rage flickering uncontrollably. You did this. You're destroying our life. Maddie swallowed, fighting for breath. You destroyed it the moment you decided my signature, my health, my life didn't matter. Cole placed a steady hand near her back, not touching her, but standing with her. Travis's fury boiled over. He put you up to this. He's been trying to steal you since day one. Cole didn't blink. The only thing I stole was the chance for you to keep hurting her. Travis lunged, but Officer Daniels intercepted, stepping between them. That's enough. Mr. Whitmore, calm down or I will place you in custody for disorderly conduct. Travis glared at all of them, chest heaving. Then Maddie did something none of them expected. She walked to the kitchen drawer, reached inside, and pulled out a folded letter, creased, smudged, hidden for years behind old takeout menus. She held it with trembling hands. "This," she whispered, "is the last piece." Cole frowned. Harper leaned forward. Daniels watched carefully. Travis froze. Because he recognized the letter instantly. It was the one he hoped she would never find. The one containing a statement he once forced her to sign after her miscarriage, claiming she was too emotionally unstable to make medical decisions. A letter he planned to use again if he ever needed to silence her. Maddie unfolded it slowly, her eyes glistening but fierce. "This," she said, voice steady, "is the proof that you never cared if I lived or died." Travis stepped backward, breath shaking. Because he knew. If Maddie handed that letter to Officer Daniels, it wouldn't just ruin his reputation, it would end everything he had left. The letter trembled in Maddie's hands as silence thickened around them. For years, she had carried the weight of that document without even knowing it existed, his final weapon, prepared long before today. But now, with Officer Daniels standing mere feet away, with Cole steady beside her, and Harper watching with visible remorse, the power in that letter shifted. It no longer belonged to Travis. It belonged to her. "Maddie," Travis whispered, his voice cracking for the first time. "Please don't do this. I made mistakes, but we can fix this. We can start over." His sudden gentleness wasn't love. It was fear. Maddie recognized it instantly because she had lived years adjusting herself around his moods, trying to keep the peace, making herself smaller so he would feel bigger. No more. She carefully refolded the letter, her breathing steady. "This wasn't a mistake," she said softly. "This was who you chose to be." Harper wiped her eyes, whispering, "He lied to me too." Officer Daniels stepped forward. "Mrs. Whitmore, if you want to file these documents formally, I can escort you to the station." For a moment Maddie considered it, ending Travis's power with one signature, exposing him, holding him accountable. But something deeper guided her. She looked at Cole, whose eyes held no judgment, only support. Then she turned back to Officer Daniels. "Not today," she said. "I need to protect my child from all of this stress, but I will file them after I leave this house safely." Travis staggered backward as if her calmness physically struck him. "You're leaving?" he rasped. "You can't. I need you." His admission wasn't about love. It was about dependence on her name, her credit, her stability, her silence. Maddie straightened her shoulders. "You needed me, but you never cherished me." Cole spoke gently. "You don't have to go alone. My driver is outside. I'll make sure you get somewhere safe." A soft tremor crossed Maddie's face. Not fear, but an emotion she hadn't allowed herself in a long time. Relief. She placed the letter into Officer Daniels' hands. "Keep this safe. I'll be in touch soon." Daniels nodded, understanding far more than he said. "Whenever you're ready." Maddie grabbed her small overnight bag, the one she kept for emergencies. How ironic that the emergency wasn't labor pains or medical complications, but the truth finally snapping into place. As she walked toward the door, Travis reached out instinctively, but Cole stepped between them with a single quiet warning. "Don't." Travis's hand fell, trembling. "Maddie," he whispered, "who are you without me?" She paused at the doorway, turning back one last time. For once, she wasn't afraid of the answer. "Finally," she said, "I get to find out." Cole escorted her gently to the Rolls-Royce. The early morning sun washed over her face, warm and forgiving, like the world was opening again. As the car door closed, Maddie felt her first breath of freedom in years. She wasn't healed yet. She wasn't whole yet. But she was finally moving toward a life where she mattered, where her voice mattered, where her baby would know love, not fear. And as the limo pulled away, Travis stood alone in the doorway, everything he once controlled slipping through his fingers. He just didn't know the biggest consequence was still coming, and it would destroy the last thing he thought he could keep. The Rolls-Royce moved smoothly through the tree-lined roads of Connecticut, but Maddie's mind was anything but smooth. Her heart thudded in uneven beats, her breath shallow from the weight of everything she had just walked away from. She rested one hand on her belly, feeling a faint kick, gentle, reassuring, almost as if her baby were reminding her she wasn't alone. Cole, seated across from her in the back of the limo, kept a respectful distance. He didn't hover, didn't press, didn't ask the questions he clearly held behind his calm eyes. He simply watched her, making sure she wasn't about to faint again. "You did something incredibly brave back there," he finally said. Maddie shook her head, a mirthless breath escaping her. "It didn't feel brave. It felt overdue." Cole nodded slowly. "Sometimes those are the bravest moments." They rode in silence for another minute before the car turned into the driveway of a discreet townhouse building in Stamford, one of Harrington Estate's private properties. Modern exterior, clean lines, soft outdoor lighting, safe, neutral, a place where no one could touch her. "My guest unit is fully furnished," Cole said gently. "You can stay here as long as you need. There's security, privacy, no press, no neighbors whispering." "How much is the rent?" Maddie asked automatically. Cole's lips curved just slightly, not a smile, but something warmer. "Rent isn't something you need to worry about tonight." Her instinctive protest rose, but exhaustion smothered it. She nodded instead. Inside, the townhouse glowed with soft amber lighting, neutral decor, comfortable couches, a kitchen stocked with food she didn't remember buying. Everything felt strangely peaceful, like stepping into a world that wasn't bruised by betrayal. "You should rest," Cole said. "I'll have a doctor come check on you." Maddie lowered herself onto the couch, hands folded tightly. "I don't know what to do tomorrow," she whispered. "I don't even know where to begin." "You begin," Cole said gently, "by remembering who you were before someone taught you to doubt yourself." The simple truth of that sentence made her eyes sting. Before she could reply, there came a sudden buzz, her phone vibrating across the glass coffee table. The screen lit up with a name she hadn't seen in months: Ava Hollings, her former project lead. The woman who had fired her from the landscape architecture firm during budget cuts, the same cuts that came right after Travis had made sure the firm knew she was emotionally unpredictable. Maddie swallowed hard and answered with a shaky, "Hello?" Ava's voice came fast, breathless. "Maddie? Thank God you picked up. I've been trying to reach you. I owe you an apology." Maddie blinked in confusion. "What do you mean?" There was a pause. Then Ava confessed, "I didn't know until today. Travis emailed the board last year claiming you were struggling mentally. He said you needed time off. He made it sound like you couldn't handle the workload. That's why your contract wasn't renewed." Maddie's pulse spiked. Cole, sensing the shift, looked over sharply. Ava continued, "I only found out because someone forwarded me the file he sent. You need to know? Your rooftop garden design? The one the firm said wasn't approved?" "Yes," Maddie whispered. "It was approved, Maddie. Green-lighted. The client loved it, but Travis told us you weren't stable enough to lead it, so the board gave it to someone else." The room tilted. Maddie grabbed the armrest. Her entire career stolen, her confidence shattered by lies, her identity stripped away piece by piece. "That's not all," Ava added. "The client wants to relaunch the project, and they're asking for you, if you're willing." Cole leaned forward, eyes widening. Maddie choked on a breath, overwhelmed. And then Ava said the words that changed everything. "I think you might be owed a very large settlement. And ownership credit." Cole froze. Maddie's heart thundered. Because this wasn't just an apology. This was an opportunity that could rebuild her entire life and destroy Travis's last remaining grip on her future. Maddie sat frozen on the couch, Ava's voice echoing through the speaker as if coming from another lifetime. Her design, her dream, approved, requested, wanted. After everything she'd been told, everything she'd believed. Cole leaned forward slightly, but not intrusively. "Take your time," he murmured. Maddie breathed shakily into the phone. "Ava, why are you telling me this now?" Ava exhaled, sounding ashamed. "Because I found out how deep Travis's interference went. He didn't just email the board. He met privately with 2 partners, implying you were having post-traumatic emotional episodes. He claimed you begged him not to tell anyone. He made it seem like he was protecting you." Maddie's stomach twisted. That was exactly how he'd made her feel at home. Fragile, incapable, misguided. And he had spread that lie to her professional world too. Ava continued, "We trusted him. He was articulate, persuasive, seemed genuinely concerned. But when the new lead designer presented your rooftop plan, we knew something was wrong. It had your voice all over it. So you fired me," Maddie whispered. "We thought you needed rest," Ava said. "We thought we were helping. But once I saw the emails, everything clicked." Another pause. "I am truly sorry, Maddie." Silence sat heavy in the room. Then Ava's tone shifted, firmer, brighter. The client wants to reopen negotiations next week, and they specifically asked whether the original designer would be available. I didn't give them an answer yet. Maddie swallowed. Why? Because I needed to know if you were ready to come back, and because, if what I've seen is accurate, you're entitled to compensation. Compensation? Maddie echoed. Yes, Travis's interference cost you income, credit, and an entire project cycle. If you pursue this legally, you could receive a substantial settlement. And if you rejoin the project, this time properly credited, you'd be the headline designer on a $12 million development. Cole's brows lifted. Even he looked impressed. Ava added, and Maddie? They want to meet at their New York penthouse. High profile, press might attend. Maddie's pulse accelerated. A public redemption, a career rebirth. A chance to reclaim the voice she had forgotten she had. I'll be there, she said, her voice steadier than she expected. Just tell me when. After she hung up, she sat quietly, absorbing everything. Her body trembled, not with fear, but with the shock of possibility. Her child kicked softly, as if sensing her shift. Cole finally asked, "How do you feel?" Maddie looked up at him, tired, terrified. Then, more quietly, but hopeful. Cole smiled gently. "Hope looks good on you." She blushed, looking away. "I don't know what tomorrow holds." "You will," he said, "and whatever it is, you won't face it alone." Before she could answer, another vibration buzzed on her phone. Maddie froze when she saw the sender, an unknown number. But the preview line read, "I know what Travis did. We should talk." Her heart stopped. Cole's eyes narrowed. "Who is it?" Maddie opened the full message. It wasn't from Harper. It wasn't from Ava. It wasn't from a blocked number Travis might use. It was from Travis's father, a man she hadn't spoken to in years, someone who had always kept his distance. Her breath hitched. Cole read the look on her face instantly. What does he want? Maddie's fingers trembled as she whispered, "He says he has proof of something Travis never wanted me to discover." The room went still. Because whatever this new secret was, it had the power to collapse Travis's entire world for good. Maddie stared at the message glowing on her phone screen, her pulse thundering in her ears. Travis's father. A man who seldom spoke, seldom visited, and rarely involved himself in his son's life unless it meant protecting the Whitmore family name. For him to reach out now, after years of silence, meant something was deeply wrong. Cole watched her expression shift from confusion to tension to something close to dread. "What did he say?" he asked quietly. Maddie read the message aloud, her voice trembling. "Maddie, I'm sorry. I didn't know how bad things had gotten. I have documents you need to see. Travis lied to you. About more than the house. About your first pregnancy." Cole froze. "What does he mean?" Maddie didn't answer, not because she didn't want to, but because her mind had suddenly gone numb. She remembered the pain of her first miscarriage as if it were yesterday. The panic, the ambulance ride, the hospital lights blurring above her. Travis had told her it was just one of those tragedies, that nothing could have been done. He insisted the doctor said it was unavoidable. But now, call him, Cole urged gently. Her hands shook as she dialed. The line clicked, and an older man's voice came through, strained, remorseful, raw. "Maddie, thank you for answering. I wasn't sure you'd pick up." "Mr. Whitmore," she whispered. "What's going on? What did Travis lie about?" A heavy sigh filled the silence. "I never liked how Travis treated you, but I didn't realize the extent of it until yesterday. I was cleaning out the office safe and found medical papers, documents he hid." "What kind of documents?" Maddie asked, heart pounding. There was a pause. Then, "The doctor's report from your first pregnancy." Her breath caught. "But I saw that report." "No," he corrected softly. "You saw the version Travis gave you." Cole's eyes widened with anger. He reached out, not touching her, but grounding her through sheer presence. "What did the real report say?" she whispered. Another long pause. "Maddie, your miscarriage wasn't unavoidable. The doctor recommended overnight monitoring. You should have been admitted, but Travis signed a refusal for treatment." The room tipped sideways. Maddie clutched the edge of the couch. "He told them," the older man continued, voice cracking, "that you were dramatic, that you exaggerate pain. He said you didn't need the hospital. He signed you out against medical advice." Maddie's vision blurred. "I didn't even know he signed anything." "You were sedated. You weren't supposed to be discharged." Cole closed his eyes, jaw tightening with fury. Mr. Whitmore continued, guilt heavy in his tone. I thought Travis was stepping up, taking care of you. I didn't realize he'd lied. I'm so sorry, Maddie. I've already arranged for the documents to be overnighted to your location. They will prove everything. Maddie swallowed, breath shaking. Why are you helping me? There was a long silence. Because, he finally said, voice soft and broken, I failed my wife once by staying silent. I won't fail you too. The line ended. Maddie lowered the phone slowly, tears finally spilling, not from weakness but from the agony of truth. Cole leaned forward. Maddie, this changes everything. Legally, personally, publicly. She nodded numbly. But before Cole could say more, an alert pinged on her phone. A headline notification. Breaking news. Attorney Travis Whitmore under internal review after misconduct allegations emerge. Cole's eyes shot to hers. And Maddie whispered, he's going down, and he doesn't even know what's coming next. The breaking news alert glowed across Maddie's screen like a flare in the dark. She reread the headline twice, her breath catching each time. Attorney Travis Whitmore under internal review after misconduct allegations emerge. Cole leaned closer, his voice low and steady. This is just the beginning. Everything he built on lies is starting to collapse. Maddie didn't smile. There was no joy in seeing the destruction of a man she once believed she'd grow old with. But there was a quiet justice in watching truth rise where manipulation had ruled for too long. The article detailed an anonymous complaint filed at Travis's law firm. Anonymous, but Maddie knew exactly where it came from. Harper sat in an HR office that morning, hands shaking, eyes red, but willing to tell the truth. Her apology had been genuine, but this was bravery. Cole's voice pulled her back. Are you ready for the fallout? I don't know, she admitted softly, but I'm done being afraid of it. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was Ava. Ava, the board just contacted me. Travis called them panicking. He's demanding to know if you're filing a lawsuit. They didn't tell him anything, but he's furious. A strange calm settled in Maddie. Of course he is, she murmured. For once, he can't control the narrative. Cole studied her with quiet admiration. You're stronger than you think. She didn't feel strong, but she felt awake. That afternoon, Cole arranged for a private driver to take her to Dr. Whitaker's office. He insisted on riding along, not hovering, just present. The city moved past outside the tinted windows. Familiar streets she once walked as a hopeful designer, now blurred by the weight of her new reality. Inside the clinic, Dr. Whitaker greeted her with genuine relief. I'm so glad you're safe. I've been worried. Maddie swallowed. There's something I need to see. The doctor nodded slowly, as if she already suspected. She brought out a locked file, Maddie's records from her first pregnancy. When she opened it, Maddie felt her chest tighten. There it was. The Against Medical Advice discharge form. Travis's signature, bold and confident, written on a night she had been too weak to sit upright. Cole, standing behind her, inhaled sharply. He signed away your care. A tear slid down her cheek. He signed away our child. Dr. Whitaker placed a gentle hand on Maddie's shoulder. We reported that incident to hospital administration. But Travis told them you refused care. We had no reason to question the husband's statement at the time. Of course, because Travis wasn't sloppy, he was strategic. Maddie wiped her tears. Can I get copies? Dr. Whitaker nodded. I'll have them ready within the hour. When they stepped back outside into the sunlight, Maddie felt lighter and heavier all at once. Cole watched her thoughtfully. You don't have to decide anything today. Lawsuit, press release, settlement, you get to choose your pace. She nodded, grateful. For once I actually do. Just then her phone rang again. Not a text this time. A call. The caller ID made her freeze. Whitmore and Stone Law Group. Managing partner Cole raised an eyebrow. His firm? Maddie answered with a tentative, hello? A stern voice replied, Mrs. Whitmore, we need to speak with you immediately. It concerns your husband and the evidence against him. There's something you haven't seen yet. Maddie's pulse skyrocketed. What evidence? She whispered, the voice lowered gravely. The kind that could put him behind bars. The managing partner's voice carried a weight that made Maddie's stomach twist. This wasn't the tone of a man calling to protect his firm. It was the tone of someone trying to brace her for impact. Mrs. Whitmore, he repeated, we need to meet, in person, tonight. Maddie exchanged a worried glance with Cole. Is this about the investigation? Yes, the partner said, but it's also about something much worse, something that affects you directly. Her pulse raced. What did Travis do? A long exhale crackled through the phone. There are financial records, transfers, withdrawals, falsified authorizations, and they involve accounts under your name. Maddie felt the world blur sideways. My name? Yes. We believe your husband has been draining joint assets into a private fund, under your identity. We have reason to think he forged more than your medical documents. Cole stiffened beside her, fury rippling beneath his controlled exterior. The partner continued, We're required to disclose this because if the district attorney opens a criminal case, you need to be aware of your legal exposure. Maddie whispered, He made it look like I did it? Yes, some of the transactions imply you were complicit, but we don't believe that. We believe you're a victim. Her throat tightened. Travis hadn't just tried to hurt her emotionally or medically. He had been setting her up to take the fall. I'll come, she said, barely able to breathe. Cole insisted on accompanying her to the meeting. The Whitmore and Stone office tower loomed above Manhattan like a monolith. Glass, steel, and cold prestige. She remembered coming here years ago, bringing Travis lunch, feeling proud of him. Now the building felt like the belly of a beast that had finally spit him out. Inside a private boardroom, the managing partner, Mr. Graham, greeted them with tired eyes. He slid a thick folder toward Maddie. These are the documents we uncovered. Her hands trembled as she opened it. There were bank transfers with her forged signature, emails from Travis requesting urgent financial reallocations for his wife's medical needs, applications for personal loans she never took, and a tax return filed last year claiming her as the primary beneficiary of funds that never existed. A cold dread spread through her. He planned to disappear, Cole murmured, reading over her shoulder. He was creating a financial trail that pointed at you. Mr. Graham nodded solemnly. We believe he intended to flee once the house sold, leaving you responsible for everything. Maddie's breath stuttered. He was going to let me go to jail? The silence answered for him. Her chest tightened, not with heartbreak this time, but with a rising fire she could finally feel in her bones. Travis hadn't loved her. He hadn't even hated her. He had simply used her. Her kindness, her loyalty, her willingness to forgive as a shield for his own cowardice. Mr. Graham leaned forward. There's more. Travis accessed a confidential firm account yesterday morning. He attempted to delete files tied to your first pregnancy. Maddie's hand flew to her mouth. Cole's jaw clenched so hard the muscles jumped. We recovered enough, Graham said. Enough to prove he lied to doctors, to us, and to you. This is damning. Maddie stared at the folder. The evidence of years stolen from her, of safety compromised, of a future nearly destroyed. Finally, she whispered, I want to press charges. Graham nodded. Then you'll need one more thing. He slid a final envelope across the table. Thicker, older, sealed with an embossed stamp. Your husband has a second life, Mrs. Whitmore, and inside this envelope is the proof. Maddie's trembling fingers tore it open. She saw the first page and gasped. Because the secret Travis had been hiding wasn't just betrayal. It was a betrayal that involved another woman and a child. Maddie stared at the envelope's contents as if the words were written in fire. A birth certificate, a paternity acknowledgement form, hospital paperwork, all of it bearing one unmistakable name, Father Travis Whitmore. Her pulse roared in her ears. Cole leaned in slowly, eyes narrowing in disbelief as he scanned the documents. That's impossible, Maddie whispered. He told me he never wanted kids until he felt ready. He said we needed to plan, he said. Cole finished for her. Voice low and steady. He said whatever he needed to keep you controlled. Mr. Graham continued grimly. The child is 2 years old, born during the year Travis told you he was working late every night. Maddie's stomach twisted. Who's the mother? Mr. Graham slid another page forward. A photo ID. A woman with tired eyes and a solemn expression. Not Harper. Someone else. Someone older. Someone whose quiet sadness told a story before he even explained. Her name is Elise Martin, Graham said. She was a paralegal here. She left the firm in 2021, shortly after giving birth. Your husband paid her monthly support through an unreported account. He paused. An account under your name. Maddie's breath hitched. How could he put that in my name? Because, Cole answered, brows drawn tight, he never expected you to leave him. He assumed you'd stay blind forever. Maddie pressed a hand against her chest as though trying to keep her heart from collapsing. Every year she'd blamed herself for losing their first baby. Every tear, every sleepless night, every whispered apology in the dark, while Travis was living another life with another woman and another child. The betrayal struck deeper than any wound he'd inflicted so far. Mr. Graham continued, "There's more." Elise filed for increased child support. Travis refused. She sought legal help, but the forms were dismissed when Travis's firm declared a conflict of interest. The case never moved forward. "Because he buried it," Cole muttered. Maddie closed her eyes. "He wasn't incapable of love," she whispered. "He just chose to give it to someone else." Cole's expression softened with something close to heartbreak for her. "Maddie, what he gave Elise wasn't love. It was convenience." A tear rolled down her cheek, but she didn't wipe it. She didn't have to hide anymore. "What happened to Elise?" Maddie asked. Mr. Graham hesitated. "She moved to Albany. She filed another petition last week, with new representation. And because Travis is now under formal review, the petition has been flagged for investigation." Another blow landed. "And," Mr. Graham added, voice lowering, "Elise has agreed to speak with you, if you want." Maddie swallowed hard. The thought of meeting the woman connected to Travis's secret life made her stomach churn, but somewhere beneath the fear was something else. Resolve. She rose slowly from her chair. "Set it up," she said. "I need to hear the truth." As she turned toward Cole, he stepped closer, still careful, still respectful. "You don't have to face her alone." For the first time, Maddie didn't feel small, she didn't feel broken, she felt ready. Mr. Graham cleared his throat. "One more thing, Mrs. Whitmore. Your husband knows the investigation is expanding. We believe he's becoming unstable." Cole's eyes sharpened. "What do you mean?" Graham slid a printed email across the table, sent 30 minutes earlier. "From Travis Whitmore. Subject, you can't hide her from me." Cole snatched the page, muscles tightening. Maddie's blood ran cold. And then Mr. Graham delivered the final warning. "Travis is looking for you, Mrs. Whitmore, and he's not alone." The ride back to the townhouse felt different this time. Tenser, heavier, as if the city itself sensed that something dark had begun to move in Travis's direction. Maddie clutched the seatbelt across her belly, her mind racing with the revelations of the past hour. The forged accounts, the secret child, the lies he layered over her life like wet cement. But now, there was something new to fear. He was looking for her. Cole watched her from the opposite seat, jaw set, eyes sharp with the kind of vigilance she'd never seen a man carry for her. "We're increasing security," he said. "I've already called my head of protection. No one gets near you unless I authorize it." Maddie's voice was barely a whisper. "He won't stop." "No," Cole agreed. "But neither will we." When they arrived, 2 private security officers waited outside the townhouse, one by the door, one near the driveway. Maddie felt a strange mix of comfort and dread. She wasn't used to being protected. She was used to surviving. Inside, the lights were warm, the air calm. It should have comforted her, but a knot of unease sat tight in her stomach. "Sit," Cole said gently. "You need to rest." She obeyed, lowering herself onto the couch. But her hands wouldn't stop shaking. "What if he comes here?" she asked quietly. "He won't get past my team." "But what if—" "Maddie." Cole knelt so he was eye level with her. "You're safe." His voice, steady, warm, sure, finally slowed her trembling. For a moment. Because then her phone buzzed again. A new text. Blocked number. "Did you think I wouldn't find out?" Her blood ran cold. Cole reached for the phone, scanning the message. His expression hardened into a look she'd never seen on him before, something between rage and protectiveness. "He's escalating. And he's desperate," Maddie whispered. "That makes him unpredictable." Cole exhaled slowly. "You're right, which is why tomorrow's meeting with Elise needs to happen in a controlled location." Maddie looked up sharply. "You scheduled it already?" He nodded. "She agreed to meet at my Park Avenue office. Secure building. Cameras. Security." Some of the tension left her shoulders. Elise, Travis's secret, would finally speak. Maddie would finally hear truths hidden from her for years. Cole stood. "Let me get you some water." But before he reached the kitchen, the doorbell rang. All 3 security officers moved instantly, 2 toward the door, one positioning himself between Maddie and the entryway. Cole's posture shifted into full alert. "Stay behind me." Maddie clutched her belly, heart hammering. One officer checked the door camera and frowned deeply. "Sir, You're gonna want to see this. Cole stepped forward. Who is it? The officer hesitated. It's not Travis. He turned the monitor toward them. Maddie's breath caught. Standing at the front door, wrapped in a worn coat, hair pulled back, holding a toddler in her arms, was Elise Martin. Cole's eyes widened. She wasn't supposed to be here until tomorrow. The officer added, she says it's urgent. Maddie rose slowly, confusion swirling with dread. Why would she come here now? Elise looked straight into the door camera, eyes brimming with fear, lips trembling. Then she whispered something that made everyone in the room freeze. He knows I talked, and he's coming. The officer stepped back, hand on his holster. Cole's face paled with realization, and Maddie felt her world tighten around her, because Elise wasn't alone. A shadow moved behind her, just out of frame. For one terrifying second, no one moved. Elise clutched her toddler tighter, her breath fogging the cold night air. Her eyes darted behind her as if the darkness itself were hunting her. Cole snapped out of the shock first. Let her in, now. The security officer opened the door in one swift motion and pulled Elise inside. She stumbled forward, clutching her child, little cheeks pink from the cold, tiny hands gripping her shirt. Elise, Maddie whispered, rising to her feet. What happened? Elise's voice trembled violently. I didn't know where else to go. He found the notice from the Attorney General's office. He knows they reopened the child support petition. He knows someone talked. And when he couldn't reach me... Her eyes flicked to Maddie. He assumed it was you. Cole's fists clenched. What did he do? Elise wiped her face with the back of her hand. He came to my apartment. He pounded on my door. He kept shouting that I ruined his life, that we betrayed him. I grabbed my son and slipped out the back stairs, but someone was following us. Following you? Maddie breathed. The officer who checked the camera stepped in. There was movement behind her on the feed, a male figure keeping distance. Couldn't make out his face. Another officer added, we scanned the perimeter when she arrived. Whoever it was, they peeled off before we made contact. Cole turned to Elise. You're safe here. I promise you. But Elise shook her head, tears spilling. No. None of us are safe. He's unraveling. The toddler whimpered, sensing the fear in the room. Maddie's heart clenched as she approached them, slowly, carefully. Hi, sweetheart, she whispered gently to the child. You're safe too, okay? The toddler blinked up at her, innocent and unknowing. Elise broke all over again. I didn't want you to find out like this, Elise sobbed. But he told me once that if everything came out, he'd make sure none of us walked away clean. Cole's eyes sharpened. He threatened you? And you, Elise whispered, more than once. A chill swept the room. One of the officers' radios crackled to life. Unit 2 to base, movement detected at the south corner of the property. Unidentified male, approaching slowly. Maddie's breath caught. Cole stepped forward instantly, locked the doors, moved them to the secure room. Already on it, the officer motioned for Elise and the toddler to follow him down the hall. But Elise hesitated, turning back with terror widening her eyes. You don't understand, she whispered. It's not just him. Cole froze. What do you mean? Elise swallowed hard. Travis called someone who helps him, someone who told him where I might go. Maddie felt her pulse spike. Who? Elise's lips trembled. His brother. Cole's expression shifted, grim, calculating. James Whitmore? The one with the sealed assault record? Elise nodded slowly. Maddie's knees nearly gave out. Two men, one unstable, one violent, both coming for the women they once used as collateral. Another officer rushed into the room. Sir, movement increasing, 2 individuals now. Cole turned to Maddie, voice low but urgent. We're going to the secure room, right now. But before they could move, the security monitor flickered. A grainy figure appeared on screen, then another, and then a familiar voice boomed through the outdoor speaker system, warped by static but unmistakably filled with rage. Maddie, open the door. You're coming with me, now. Travis, he had found her, and this time, he wasn't alone. The sound of Travis's voice crashing through the outdoor speakers sent a shiver down Maddie's spine. He wasn't just angry. He was unhinged. She could hear it in the way his words broke, in the desperate edge she'd once mistaken for passion. Cole stepped in front of her instantly, his presence steady, immovable. Stay behind me. Don't move unless I tell you. The security monitors flickered again, revealing Travis pacing outside like a caged animal. His hair was wild, His face twisted with something beyond rage, something close to obsession. Beside him, a taller, broad-shouldered man stalked the perimeter, scanning each window with predatory intent. James Whitmore, Travis's brother. A man whose sealed assault record wasn't sealed enough for Cole not to know about it. Elise clutched her toddler in the hallway, tears streaking her cheeks. One of the officers guided her toward the reinforced safe room, but she kept looking back at Maddie, terrified. "Maddie," she whispered. "He won't leave without you." Maddie swallowed hard. "He's not getting me. Not anymore." The officer sealed Elise and the child inside the secure room, locking 3 steel mechanisms into place. Another loud bang rattled the front door. Travis shouted, voice hoarse, "Maddie, you don't get to run. You don't get to take everything from me." Cole's jaw hardened. "Everything? He took years from you." Maddie didn't speak. She stared at the monitor, watching the man she'd once loved unravel in real time. James kicked the door, testing its strength. Then he leaned close to Travis, saying something the cameras couldn't catch. Whatever it was made Travis's face contort. Another bang, and another. Cole motioned to the lead officer. "Prepare to call PD backup, now." "Yes, sir." Travis screamed again, spit flying, eyes wild. "You think you can hide behind him? Behind money? Behind security?" "Maddie, open the door before." He cut off abruptly, because the driveway lights flicked on, all of them. Then, the sound of multiple engines. 3 black SUVs pulled up silently, headlights slicing through the dark. James stepped back. "Travis, this wasn't part of the plan." Travis spun around, panicked. What is this?" Cole exhaled slowly. "My security team, the real one." The SUV doors opened in unison. 6 men in tactical gear stepped out, moving with clean, efficient precision. Travis staggered backward, shock slicing through his fury. You can't do this. This is illegal." "No," Cole said calmly. "Threatening a pregnant woman and a child is illegal." One of the tactical officers raised a speaker device. "Travis Whitmore, James Whitmore, step away from the house now." James snarled, grabbing Travis's arm. "We're leaving. Now." But Travis tore free, shaking his head violently. "No, she's mine. She owes me." He didn't get to finish, a sharp command. Bright floods of tactical lights hit Travis and James from all angles. Travis shielded his face, screaming. Inside the townhouse, Maddie's knees buckled. Cole caught her instantly. "It's okay," he whispered. "This ends tonight." But then, before the tactical officers could reach them, James shoved Travis aside, bolted toward the side of the house, and smashed something metallic against the basement window. A pipe, a gas line valve. Cole's eyes widened in horror. "No, don't." The camera flashed white as a spark ignited. A roar thundered through the speakers, and then, the entire side wall of the townhouse exploded into flames. Maddie screamed. Cole shielded her with his body. And outside, through the fire and smoke, Travis stepped forward, silhouetted in the blaze, and he was coming straight for her. The explosion tore through the side of the townhouse like a violent scream, sending sparks into the night sky. Maddie felt the shockwave hit her chest, knocking the breath from her lungs. Cole wrapped both arms around her, shielding her belly as debris shot across the living room. The alarms blared. Smoke curled beneath the ceiling like dark, accusing hands. "Maddie, stay low," Cole ordered, guiding her behind the marble island. Security stormed in, their voices sharp and controlled. But outside, through the haze, through the flickering flames, Travis emerged. His face was streaked with soot, eyes wild, clothes torn. The fire behind him painted him in a hellish glow, a living silhouette of every nightmare she had survived. He staggered forward, panting. "You're not leaving me," he roared, spit flying. "You ruined everything, everything." Cole stepped in front of Maddie again, the force of his stance unshakable. "This ends now, Whitmore." But Travis was beyond reason. He charged. 2 tactical officers converged instantly. One tackled him at the waist, the other locked his arms behind him. Travis fought like a cornered animal, screaming Maddie's name, kicking, thrashing. "You can't do this. She's my wife, my property. She owes me." "No," Maddie said. Her voice was soft, but it silenced the world. Everyone turned. For the first time since she'd met him, Travis froze, not from defeat, but from shock that she finally dared to speak to him without fear. Maddie stepped from behind Cole, smoke swirling around her like a veil. One hand braced her belly, the other clutched the back of a chair for balance. "I don't owe you anything," she whispered. "Not my life, not my voice, not my child." Travis shook. eyes burning with a twisted desperation. "You can't raise a baby alone. You need me." Maddie shook her head slowly. "My baby needs peace and strength and a world where love doesn't hurt." She took a final breath, steady, calm, absolute. "And that world will never include you." Travis lunged again, but the officers slammed him to the ground, handcuffing him as he screamed her name like a curse. As they dragged him toward the SUVs, Officer Daniels arrived with state police, smoke drifting around him like a curtain. "Travis Whitmore, you are under arrest for fraud, forged medical documents, endangering the welfare of a pregnant woman, and attempted arson." Travis fought until he had no strength left. "It's her fault. She destroyed me." Officer Daniels paused. "No," he said firmly. "You destroyed yourself." The door slammed shut. The SUV drove off. And just like that, the storm was over. Hours later, Maddie sat wrapped in a blanket as firefighters controlled the remaining embers. Elise and her child were safe. James had been captured 2 blocks away. Cole stayed beside Maddie the entire time, never once leaving her side. When the first quiet moment finally came, Maddie exhaled shakily. "It's over," she whispered. Cole looked at her, not the broken woman he first helped into a hospital lobby, but the stronger one forged tonight through fire and truth. "Yes," he said gently, "and now, your life gets to begin." 6 months later, Maddie stood on a rooftop overlooking Manhattan. Her rooftop, her project, her name, Madeline Brooks, lead designer, engraved on the entry plaque. Cole slipped his hand into hers. "Ready?" he asked softly. She smiled, radiant, healed, whole. For the first time, yes. Above them the city lights shimmered like a promise, and in her arms her newborn daughter slept peacefully, finally safe in a life built not on fear, but on freedom, justice, and love. So, that's it, my wonderful friends. Our story has come full circle. And if you're still here with me right now, listening all the way to the end, then something in this journey must have touched your heart. Maybe in a quiet way, maybe in a painful way, maybe in a way you didn't expect. And that's okay. Stories heal us because they remind us of what we forget. That strength can exist in the softest places, and that walking away is sometimes the most courageous thing a person can do. You know, the Stoics used to say, "What stands in the way becomes the way." Maddie's suffering didn't break her, it shaped her. And maybe that's true for you too. Maybe the things you survived weren't detours. Maybe they were the path you were meant to walk, so you could finally meet the strongest version of yourself. And if this story held your hand for even a moment, if it helped you breathe a little deeper, or see your own worth a little clearer, then I'd love for you to like, share, and subscribe. It helps our little community grow, and it lets me keep telling stories that sit with you long after the screen goes dark. We're in this together. Always.